Hello, I'm Evan with New Life for Old Bikes. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at my Huffy aluminum ATB. This particular bike is a big box store bike. I picked this up about a year ago at a yard sale, and I'm not sure what to do with it. I love its aluminum frame. It's been polished. I like the fact that it has SRAM components. I like the fact that it has the mounts for the cables. It's a very nice bike overall, but it's not very valuable. Follow along and we're going to check to make sure this is worth saving. The first thing I'd like you to notice is that the wheel is not centered in the frame. It's almost 1.25 inches on this side, and the tire is just shy of touching the frame on the other. Now, this could very easily be that the wheel is just not centered in the frame, but it could be a symptom of something a whole lot worse. So the first thing we're going to do is drop the wheel out of this bike and check to make sure that the frame is straight. To check the frame, the first thing I'm going to do is remove one of the brake pads so that I can remove the wheel from the back of the bike. Once we have the wheel out of the frame, we're going to tie a piece of string into the dropout. I'm going to be going around the head tube in the front and coming back and tying it to the dropout on the other side. Then we're going to take some measurements. The head tube is the front of the frame. It'll generally have the name badge on it, and your fork and handlebars are connected to it. We're going to wrap our string around this head tube. With the string tied in exactly the same place on both sides, I can now measure from the seat tube to the string. And this side is 38 millimeters. And this side is 38 millimeters. The frame is straight. While the wheel is off, I'm checking the bearings to make sure they roll smoothly, and checking the freewheel to make sure that it rolls smoothly. Both of those seem to be in good shape. Next, I'm going to slide the brake pad in and just snug it up finger tight. Next, we're going to pull on the brake handle and make sure our brakes are hitting the correct spot before we tighten them down. Well, the wheel appears to be true and the brakes work. The next thing I want you to notice is the clamp is missing on the front brake. I looked through some parts and stuff that I had laying around and found a clamp. So I'm going to put that in and we're going to test the front brakes. Well, we have front brakes and the front wheel is true. The next thing I'd like to do is check the drivetrain of the bike. And as you can see, the chain is not wore out or stretched. If it was, this would drop between the links. My only issue with the chain is it is really dirty, has some surface rust on it, and is very stiff. Now I could sit here with penetrating oil and a couple of pliers and probably loosen it up, but reality is it would be easier to throw it in a bucket of cleaner and degrease it first and then clean the rust off of it. So for our purposes today, I'm simply going to change the chain out. I'm using a chain brake tool for this, but if you don't have one, you could easily use a bolt cutter or a hacksaw. When using a chain brake tool, all I have to do is line the pin up on the tool with the rivet on the chain, screw it down, and push the rivet through. Since I'm installing a new chain, I thought you might like to see how it's done. Unfortunately, I neglected to check the chain for length. And if you'll notice the part of the video where I'm adjusting the rear derailleur, you can see that it's loose. I did remove 2 links after that. The part with the rivet sticking out is going to go over the smallest chain ring in the front. In the back, I've set the derailleur to one of the smallest gears. What I'm going to do is put the chain on and go over the top of the top cog on the derailleur. Then I'm going to feed the chain underneath it and pull it through. Then it goes over the lowest cog. The last thing I'm going to do is connect the 2 links together. Once I've got it connected together, I'll take my chain brake tool and push the pin back in. There we go. Now that we have our chain on, let's see how well the derailleur works. Well, it doesn't shift all the way up. On the back of every derailleur is a high and low setting, and since it's not going into the lower gears, we can try this. See if we can get it to shift. I just loosened the screw to try to get it to shift further. Still not going in. There we go. Well, we appear to have the same problem going the other direction. So let's go to the high and loosen it a little and move it over. I would say if I tighten the chain up a little bit, we'd probably resolve this issue. After shortening the chain and lubricating the derailleur, it's working perfectly. Let's check the front derailleur. Unfortunately, it appears that the shifter for the front derailleur is jammed. So we'll manually pull the cable and test the front derailleur that way, and it appears to work just fine. And the shifters are rather crusty and the rubber is falling apart. So I believe this needs a new set of shifters. After all is said and done, I think this is certainly well worth repairing. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I think it'll make a really good cruiser if I just replace the shifters and put a new seat on it. I'll go ahead and grease all the bearings and service the brakes, and we should be good for quite a number of years. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, like and subscribe.